one good idea is to have alternative energies. We've got the new energy industry started, and there's lots of places. You've got sun shining in Ontario every day, and you don't see solar panels up on houses. Between 11 and 6, it's cost competitive with other fuels. And you've got biomass, you've got wind. We're really behind other countries, and we're moving fast, but not fast enough. The other thing with gas is well, it's always been increasing just before a recession. It's something it's hard to control. You're better off with a different energy, although you're not going to get rid of all of it.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hawkins, and it's your turn, Mr. McCallum.
Well, thank you very much. And I know this 3.8 cent or many cents over the past month's increase in the price of gas is really burdensome to Canadian families, especially to people on fixed incomes. I'd like to make 3 points. First of all, Canada does not control the world price of oil. The world price of oil is determined by global supply and demand, growth in China, growth in Europe. Canada's a small player in that sense. So we have to take the world price of oil as a given. But that doesn't stop the fact that Canadians are suffering. So the first point is that we, instead of giving the money to the large corporations, we support families, and particularly lower income families. We are committed, for example, to $700 million per year extra for low income seniors. And the money that goes to students and the money that goes to other families of modest means will help them continue to live, notwithstanding the high price of gas. So direct cash in the pockets of Canadian ordinary families will help to deal with this high price of gas, whereas the Conservatives are not doing that. They're giving the money instead to the big corporations. And the other point is the Liberals are committed to quadrupling the amount of renewable energy produced by 2017. And if we can reduce our dependence on fossil fuel through greater use of wind power, solar power, which is what we're committed to do, that in the longer term will also help in this area.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCallum, and it's your turn, Mr. Saroya.
Absolutely correct. The gas price is soaring. Again, it's just the supply and demand. The question was from the oil sand. The oil sand is Canada is a federation between the provinces and Northwest Territories. And Canada, as a federal government, must work with the Albertan government to work delicately to deal with the situation. Imagine if we don't have the oil coming out of it. That sand create jobs for Canadians and bring revenue to this country. That is necessary to work with the oil sand, among other things. Price of oil is, again, supply and demand. Till we have something else come in the market, this will stay the issue as long as India, China, among other developing countries keep using double and triple the oil. This will stay up.
So in that case, should the federal government have more control over the tar sand developments? Because of the pollution,
It's as I said, this federation is, in this case, Alberta would have some control and federal government would have some control. So they must cooperate with each other. They must work with each other, and I don't believe Canada directly can tell them what to do. Mr. Trudeau tried to do it in 1970, and see what happened to Mr. Trudeau. They were completely shut out from the Western Canada.
Well, environmental policy is a shared jurisdiction between the federal government and the provincial government, so both can have a role. What our policy is on the oil sands is that we will immediately end corporate tax breaks that companies in the oil sands now get, with the price of oil where it is, I don't think they really need that money. And we will take that money and reinvest it in development of clean technology so that oil sands production can be less polluting. And we will also take our responsibility seriously, working with the provinces in terms of regulation of the environment.
Till that time to come, we still have to, the oil sands still creating jobs, bringing more revenue to the country. As I said, it's a delicate situation between the provinces and the federal government, and federal government cannot dictate to Alberta.
I think this is a point on which we basically agree.
Absolutely.
That it's not a matter of Ottawa dictating,
yes,
that it's a matter of the federal government and the provinces working together.
Yes.
But at the same time, the federal government can end this tax break, which it previously gave to the oil sands, and use that money to reinvest in cleaner technology.
Environment Canada is responsible for regulating the tar sands, and the Liberals and the Bloc and the NDP all had to question why the Conservative took their 2-year environmental report and shredded it instead of giving us that information. There's the First Nations people just down from the Athabasca River, where they believe pollution is leaking into the Athabasca River from the tar sands, are suffering. I've heard them. I've spoken to their relatives. They're dying. They have rare cancers. There is evidence of seepage based on some scientists who've contributed to that environmental assessment. There were 60 people who contributed over 2 years, and that environmental assessment was shredded. I'd like to know why the Conservatives did that.
With the best of my knowledge, what I understand, Environment Canada is working with those communities. It says that nobody should get sick, or nobody should be deprived for their healthy life from any angle.
That was an all-party report. Why was that hidden from the Liberals, the Bloc, and the NDP?
Again, this is the report. The Conservative government is working with it. It's going to work on it. We want to make sure at the end of the day, all those communities are looked after and do what we need to do to have the problem corrected.
The Conservative Party is responsible to the people of Canada to disclose the information that they've got, and you hid it.
Well, I think maybe you finished that debate. I'd just like to point out one other thing that helps the environment, and that is our Green Home Renovation Tax Credit. This is a $13,500 tax credit for families who are making their homes more energy efficient. So we're talking about the high price of gas, the high cost of heating your home. So this will help Canadian families make their homes energy efficient. It will reduce the heating costs, and it's also good for the environment. We're talking about the environment. If your home is more energy efficient, you use less oil to heat your home. There's less global greenhouse gas emissions. And so I think this is a plan that's good for families, good for the pocketbook, and good for the environment.
With the best of our knowledge.
And good for jobs.
Absolutely. Jobs, what we are good at. All this incentive was in the last budget between NDP and yourself. You brought it down since you have the more member of parliaments in the House of Commons, and this incentive was in that budget.
No, but the difference is that the Conservative plan was for only 1 year, and that our Green Home Renovation Tax Credit is permanent, and it's also green. So that means it's not only good for the pocketbook and jobs, but also good for the environment.
John, talk about green. My daughter was 9 years old. She's 15 now. 6 years ago, one day I walked in. I'm in the food industry, and one day I finished early. I go home, open the door. Where's my daughter, Charlene? She said, Dad, what have you done for environment today? I didn't have the answer. Since last 6 years, every time I get home, the same question about the green energy. You know what I did first time?
Right.
And that time I had 4 stores. I called the local energy sufficient people, and I told them to bring all my stores into, what do you call it, green energy, which is used less on thing. I am all for green
Well,
energy.
I think that's very good, Bob. I mean, I think
Okay.
we all have to work for the
Absolutely.
environment.
Thank you so much. Time is over. We'll take a break for now and be ready for round 4.